What's up, you guys? Zoeb here from OneGlanceTrader.com, and in this video I'll be walking you guys through on how I set up my charts for the MT4 terminal. And as an added bonus, I'll be giving you the template absolutely free. Link is in the description, so you guys can copy the exact type of charts that I've got on my screen that I'm showing you right now, the indicators that I'm using, but also the settings for the indicator. I get a lot of emails, a lot of comments asking me what is the best settings for the trend dashboard, the OGT price indicator. Again, there are many different permutations that you can do for these settings, but these are the settings that I'm currently using, and in this template you will have all those settings predefined in there. So what I'll do in this video is I will walk you through what indicators I've got on my screen and on my chart at the moment, which is included in the template. I'll then show you some examples of how I trade these indicators, and examples of where I've got push notifications, so I come to the chart and what exactly am I looking for on whether or not to actually take a trade. So the template is, the links for that is in the description. That's completely free. You will need to download the OGT indicators suite, which is also linked inside the description, and that's absolutely free. So there's nothing to pay, everything's absolutely free. This is going to be a value added pack video, so let's get to it. So before I walk you guys through the indicators and the setups I've got on the chart, I just want to walk you guys through the pairs I'm trading and the time frame I'm trading. So I am trading all of the majors and a couple of others. I would ignore this EURUSD 5-minute chart, but I trade the 30-minute time frame. And as you can see, as I go through them, all the chart setups are exactly the same. And the reason why I've selected I don't know how many I've got there, 6 or 7 pairs and the 30-minute chart, is that it gives me the right blend of the number of signals that I'm looking for versus the number of signals I can actually handle throughout the day. So, depending on your current situation, whether you have a day job or you work part-time, you can increase or decrease the amount of signals that you get, either by trading more pairs. So the more pairs you trade, by definition, you're going to get more signals because there'll be more opportunities. Or you can increase or decrease the time frame. So the longer the time frame, the shorter the signals, or the lower the signals you'll get. But also it allows you more time throughout the day, if you are busy throughout the day, for the signals to kind of develop. It's very rarely that I get a signal on my phone and I'll take a trade then and there when I look at the charts, because I have to wait for another few bars to happen, and we'll go through some examples of this to see what happens after the signal actually occurs. But then it then tells me that, for example, on the USD chef, I've got a signal. I'll probably need to wait a couple of bars, so I'll be more involved and have that pair on my VPS open on my laptop, on my personal laptop, or what have you. So that's the kind of pairs I trade, the time frame I trade. Again, I'm not precious on the time frame. You see, I've got a 5-minute chart on it, but that's for some other particular reason not related to this video. But I can go in and start, trading the hourly, the daily, and stuff like that. But generally, the half an hour, the 30-minute chart is generally the kind of trading chart that I like to use. And once I get a signal, I will go do some analysis on high time frames, lower time frames, to potentially get my entry a bit more, or look at various support and resistance levels. So that's kind of how I'm trading in terms of time frames and pairs. So going into what I've got on the chart, and the first thing I want to go through is my OGT trend dashboard. And again, I've got videos on this, so I'll link to those in the description on the top right corner. But effectively, it gives you a view of all time frames, whether they are trending either up or down, or they are ranging, and it uses a combination of 3 moving averages that you can set yourself: a fast, medium, and a slow. So from this particular template, I've set it at 10, 20, and a 50 period moving average. It seems to be, for me, the right amount of pace or movement on how quick or how slow I want these kind of moving averages to develop a trend. So the longer term moving averages, or the longer period that you have your moving averages, the longer it takes for a trend to be established. So 10, 20, 50 seems to be the right fit for me. So that's the first thing. And when you download this template or add this template on, what you need to do is you need to change the pair. So you have to do this manually, unfortunately. In the trend dashboard, you will have to change the symbol to whatever symbol you have, because when you load the pair on, if I give you this particular template, it will have a default at this particular symbol. So that's one thing that you will need to change manually when you put the template in. So bear that in mind. And the reason for the trend dashboard is really to give me a longer term view outside of the kind of 30-minute chart. I'm not really fussed about the lower time frames. I'm more fussed about the higher time frames and the direction they're going. And the USD Chef has been my favorite pair over the last 3-4 weeks, because generally it is tanking, and there have been so many pullback opportunities, and hopefully you can see them on the chart, and we'll go through one example shortly of how you can pick up some really nice moves. So I've only really been trading short on this pair for the last month or so. So that's the trend dashboard. The next piece then are these exponential moving averages. So these are ranged between 30 EMA and the 60 EMA, with some in between, and it just gives me the direction of the overall trade in terms of where I need it to go. So it's just a nice visual for me in terms of where price is in relation to the moving average. The next piece I've got is the round numbers indicator. So this particular indicator, you need to download it from the MQL5 website. So if you Google round numbers indicator, it's the first link. It is absolutely free, and it will go into your kind of marketplace folder on your MT4 terminal. So if you don't see it when you upload the template, that will be the reason why. So again, I use this because it is natural psychological support and resistance levels, as you can see. Like for example, you can see price respecting this level, price hovered at this level and this level over here, and you can see price is now kind of retracing to this particular level here. So you can see here that these natural support and resistance levels are really key for potential moves to occur, and I like to see where price is when I go to the chart in relation to these round number levels. The next piece is the RSI MTF indicator, which is signified by these down arrows and these up arrows, and effectively what this is when the RSI is overbought or oversold on multiple time frames. And for those who long-term subscribers of my channel, you will know that I like to look at one time frame above. So this is where it is overbought or oversold on the 30-minute and the 1 hour in this particular instance. So again, I like to use this as either pullbacks or reversals with the long-term trend. So because the USD share has been pointing down for such a long time, in this particular example here, these would have been classic short plays, because the longer term time frames would have all been pointing down. All of these moves over here, all these green ones, as you can see in very aggressive trends, the RSI is not very good. I would have ignored all of these kind of upward trends because the longer term time frame is pointing down. So that's that element there. The next one is the classic OGT price action indicator, kind of what I'm kind of famous for on YouTube and in the trading community. And again, I only trade at this current point in time engulfing bars, which you can see from this kind of star looking kind of shape, and pin bars. I don't think there are any pin bars on it over here, are there, at the moment? But they're signified by numbers on the on the high or the low. And again, I've got lots of videos to explain that. But the settings that I use is I'm only really looking for pin bars or engulfing bars that are going with the trend. So these moving averages over here, as long as they're all pointing in the right direction, will only show signals or price action signals with the direction of these moving averages. So in this particular instance, you can see I've got a lot of bearish engulfing bars, which again, all of these would have all been nice moves, but I didn't take all of these moves because there's other factors that kind of come into play, and I'll go into that in a second. And the last piece that I have on there, as you guys know, I love using the linear weight moving average MACD indicator. to spot divergence. Big fan of divergence, whether that's classic bearish divergence or classic hidden divergence. I like to use it, and it's not a deal breaker. I don't have to have divergence in terms of my trading, but it's something that I like to see of what the MACD is doing, and that's pretty much what I do. If I'm going for a pure divergence play, I use it to not only spot divergence, but to really time my entry into a divergence move. And again, we'll go into an example of that in this video. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a few kind of trading examples of when I get a push notification to my phone of a signal has come up on the OGT price action indicator, for example. So we're going to go through that right now. So let me walk you guys through now how in reality this whole kind of setup works. So in the indicator settings for the OGT price action indicator, so for the engulfing bars and the pin bars and the OGT RSI indicator, those settings have been set to give me push notifications when the criteria in my settings are met. So other than that, I don't really look at the charts. When I get a signal and I go to the chart, I will have a look through all the other pairs anyway, just because I'm there having a look at the charts. But generally, until I get a push notification on my phone, I do not look at the charts. So I'm going to call out one of the signals that I took, and I'm going to just kind of go through why I kind of went through that one. And it's this engulfing bar over here. Now, as I said, I would have got a push notification on my phone that this engulfing bar, this bearish engulfing bar, has formed. So I'll go on my screen, and the first thing I'll look at is what is the trend dashboard saying. And in this particular example, we are in a sea of red. So we are in a massive downtrend. I've known this because I've traded about 16 signals over the last month or so on this, and majority of them have worked out really favorably for me for this particular pair. So I'm really enjoying trading this pair at the moment. And so I know that we've got a bearish signal. That basically means that all the 30 to the 60 and all the ones in between EMAs are all aligning downwards. So the first thing I look at is we've got a bearish pin bar and the higher time frames are all red. That is first of all a very good sign, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. The next thing I look at is where is price in relation to these MAs, and what I really like to look for is where price is really close to those EMAs, because the closer it is to price, the more likelihood we are in a pullback scenario. So we'll take this engulfing bar over here as another good example. It's quite far away from the EMAs, which means that price could potentially pull back before it goes back down, and it's exactly what happened here. So I kind of avoid engulfing bars that are have a big gap and like a strong move down. So the fact that it's inside this area over here, and what we can see with prior price action, we've had a move down, pull back, and then another drop down. So the next thing I look at is, again, where is price in relation to the round number? And as you can see here, price has respected this round number level, and price is not that far away. It's only 20 odd pips away from where we are, and we can see here that this has formed a nice level of resistance. So more than likely, if I was to enter in this trade, my thought process is to have the stop loss above this round number level, or above this kind of wick over here, and that will give me a nice little barrier. I like to call these support resistance kind of barrier, like my first line of defense, to really stop the stop price hitting my stop loss. And then in terms of take profit targets, it will be looking at initially to the previous low, which is over here or over here, so this level over here, and then secondly down to the next round number level. So that's the kind of look there, what I'm looking at stop loss and take profit targets. What I'll also be doing is looking at to see what the MACD is doing, see if there's any divergence or anything like that. And because price has kind of been in this kind of squeeze or consolidation, the MACD hasn't really been doing much. So this will be a particular example of where I would really like this setup. We've got a bearish pin bar, 0.1. all longer term time frames are pointing downwards. That's point 2. We've had a pull down, we've had a leg down and then a pull back, and we have price consolidating at a round number level. That's point 3. And you know, finally looking at the MACD, nothing really kind of going on there, so there's nothing really of interest. And we've got price tucked away nicely inside the moving averages as well. So for me, this would have been a strong indication for a sell move. Now, like I said before, I don't normally enter trades straight away. What I like to do is wait to see what happens to price, and sometimes price just may go against me really, really quickly, or you know, in the direction I thought it would, and these things happen. But for me, I waited until price got back into the MA. So just as it got in here, that was my signification to get a better reward to risk, have a 20 to 25 pips stop loss, and then you know, look for a 1-to-1. And again, you guys like to know when I trade the trend, I like to do a 1-to-1 kind of reward to risk. And this again, another example of a classic trail that we could do, and you know, you still would be in this trade to a certain extent, or you may probably would have got stopped out over here. So that's just an example. Again, I got a notification. That analysis, again, I've been trading now for over 10 years now. So that was relatively easy for me to do, and I could do that in under a couple of minutes. And as you get practice with it, you'll get more better with it. So let's go through another example, this time using the RSI MTF indicator. An example I want to use here is the euro pound, and at this level over here. So you can see over here, we had all these arrows, and we had some pin bars as well. Some bearish pin bars. Now, as these arrows were forming, showing that there's potential long signals, and these are where the RSI is overbought on the 30-minute and the 1 hour, and then we had bearish pin bars at the same time because this trend at the moment is down. Again, I look at the bias of the trend dashboard, so I'm only really interested in long trades at the moment on the euro pound, and this was what, a couple of days ago. So the 4-hour chart potentially could have been grey at that point, but you know, the daily, weekly, and monthly definitely wouldn't have moved in the last 2 days because it's been kind of ranging on the 30-minute chart. So I'm looking at this bit over here. When I look at the RSI MTF, first thing I really look at, I ignore the EMAs because you're going to be in the opposite way of the trend. So in the current time frame, this is a counter trend trade, but in the long term time frame, this is a trend trade. And again, I like to trade with the long term trend. So at this point over here, I'm looking at the MACD, and at the moment it's just going down. It's doing exactly what it normally does. So you know, at this stage I wouldn't do anything, because what could happen, it could continue to go down, which it did do, and what I ideally want to look for is for price to get to this kind of the next level over here. If it does do that, and also look for some divergence, and that's exactly what we had over here. So we actually had a nice engulfing bar move here, but you know, again, for me, I probably wouldn't have taken it because I would have saw a sea of green over there. It's not something I'm really interested in. As we got down here, what I would look for is watch this pair a bit more closely. Just have it on a separate screen on a different laptop while I'm working away doing the day job, and just seeing what's happening to price. Then we get another RSI notification here, and as this bar has happened, you can see now that the RSI is making higher lows, and the MACD is making lower highs, and the RSI or price rather is making lower lows. So there could be an element of here of we're getting classic bullish divergence. And again, what I like to wait for when I do divergence, as you guys know, is the crossover of the MACD to confirm divergence. So divergence confirmation happens at this big bullish bar over here. And when that happens, you can see now that price, and look how clearly it respects that round number level. And again, these aren't me putting support resistance lines, just round number levels, as you can see over here. It respects that so nicely. So you've got the long-term time frames bullish. You've got the RSI oversold, oversold on multiple time frames. In this case, the 30-minute and the H1. It could be also on the H4, but if not, it's not set up that way. You've got price at a psychological round number level, and you've got bullish hidden divergence. And as you can see, we went off to the races. And again, for me, this is looking at a one-to-one situation, stop loss below the lows, and looking at the next high, which is either this kind of little peak over here, or at least the piece there. I think, I like to just get out of trades really quickly, so I'm looking for this level here, and the kind of risk to reward again was just above 1-to-1, and that is basically how I kind of trade the RSI MTF indicator, utilizing other indicators to build me that overall picture. Now, I really hope that this is all starting to make sense. I don't overcomplicate my trading, and I use a few indicators to help me get where I need to get to. There's one more example I want to show you guys, and just in terms of round numbers. It's kind of a live example. I'm not in this trade. It is on GJ, if I can find GJ, which is over here. Oh no, it's not on GJ, sorry, it's on GBPUSD. And only because I'm doing this video and I got some notification looking at the charts, this is just another classic example of how price respects round numbers. And again, I wouldn't have got notified on this, and the reason because there is no alerts, there's no engulfing bars, there's no pin bars, and then there's no RSI oversold on multiple time frames over here. So at the moment, there's no signal for me to really look at, bar this one over here, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And the trend dashboard is kind of bullish to kind of ranging. So what I would look for here is if I had this bar here, if this was a bearish engulfing, or we had some pin bars over here, we've got 1, 2, 3 different touches of the of this psychological round number level. MACD not really doing anything, but you can see between this level and this level, if I just draw put my cursor there, you can see that the lows are getting lower. So that peak is lower, and then this peak is now getting lower. So every time it's happened, price has fallen, and here you can put a stop loss above these highs here, and to target minimum the next psychological round number, so you can easily get a 1-to-1 there. I'm not going to take this trade because I like to not go against my trading plan. I like to get a signal, and then for me to go look at the chart, so you guys can take a look at this, and where we are on the 23rd of July, so you guys can go look at the charts. I think this video will go live in a few days time, so you guys can see the outcome of this particular trade. But it's just an example to show how you can create multiple strategies just by using a few indicators. And this is how I trade. This is how I'm trading the £500 journal, trading journal that I've been posting recently, and it's all this type of stuff here with a very few indicators to understand how I trade. So what I've got on the screen now is I've got my Confluence playlist, as well as my Forex scalping course, which goes into this kind of stuff in a bit more detail around divergence and round numbers and RSI overbought, oversold on multiple time frames, to really give you guys, hone into you guys, sorry, on how you can utilize this this type of approach and trading strategy. So template is in the link below, indicators are in the link below. Download them, subscribe, comment, let me know your views and thoughts, and check out these playlists as well right now, and I shall see you guys in a second.